Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on today's live stream. Thank you for joining us. Please do well to comment where you are streaming from in the comments below. Drop where you are streaming from in the comments below. Type where you are streaming from. My name is Emmanuel Jacob. I'm your host for today's live stream. I'm streaming from Ekate, Kwabom State. So type your name and where you are streaming from, and do well to share this live stream with your family and friends. Share the live stream with as many as possible. And I know a lot of people are quite curious to knowing what next would be the price of Bitcoin and possibly altcoins as well. So we want to find out in this live stream if the bull market is back or if we are going to be going down from here. So I think currently Bitcoin is trading at the price. Let me quickly check the price. Bitcoin is trading at the price of 28,400 after hitting 31,000 in the past few days. I think yesterday. Yeah, yesterday Bitcoin was trading around $30,000. So at this live stream, on this live stream, we are going to find out if the bulls are back. We are going to find out if what exactly is going to happen since Bitcoin has been able to hit $30,000. Are we still going to be going up, or is there going to be a decline in price? Are we going to be facing more dump? That is what you are going to be finding out in today's live stream. And I'm not here alone. I have a guest speaker. His name is Kester, and he's going to be opening our eyes to what we have to expect in the cryptocurrency market. So I want you to make sure that you get your writing materials and jot down whatever it is he's going to be teaching us, as well as just write down your questions so that when it's time for question and answers, you will ask your questions and we are going to gladly provide you with the answers. So kindly comment where you are streaming from in the comments below. Type your name and where you are streaming from. And don't forget to share this live stream with your family and friends. So, all right, Mr. Kester, is it Kester Ejikeme, right? Kester Ejikeme.
Yeah, it's Kester Ejikeme.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. So, thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So, I would like you to do a brief introduction of yourself, then before we get into what we have to offer today.
Okay, my name is Kester Ejikeme, and I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm a macroeconomist, and I'm also an investment advisor. So that's just, and I'm also the Bitcoin lead of Crypto Bootcamp community. So that's just all about me. I don't really have much bio like that.
All right, so that is super amazing. There is one thing you said that got my attention because someone like me, if I make a post on Twitter, I will say, I'm not your financial advisor or I'm not a financial. So a GKM is actually investment
Yeah,
advisor, right? So
yeah.
whatever it is going to be sharing with us today, you are going to be taking, you have to take it very seriously. Yes, because he is very good at what he's doing. So I want to leave the floor for you, sir. So I want you to tell us, since Bitcoin has been able to hit $30,000, and yes, because before it was able to get to $30,000, it was battling between 23K, 24K, and thereabouts, and finally it was able to hit 30,000, and I think almost touched 31K if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah.
what are we going to expect from now? What should we expect from the market?
Okay, good evening and thanks for having me. So tonight we'll be discussing the latest rally of Bitcoin to 30K, and if it's going to lead to the bull run. So even though the price have retraced now a little bit, even though the price have retraced a little bit, uh, which is no cause for alarm because it's normal to have a retracement of price after a wild run. So before I go into your question deeply, I think it's okay um if I talk about three talking points, because there are three talking points I need to talk about here. The first one is what made Bitcoin actually get to 30K, and the second one is what made it drop to 28K that it is right now, and the third one is what does the future hold for Bitcoin? So so the first one, what made it rise to 30K? The rally to 30K started with the US Federal Reserve, providing 2 trillion emergency liquidity to banks in the United States that are failing. So liquidity is honestly playing a role in here. If you look at the price of Bitcoin last year, November, when American interest rate was at 3.9%, the average price of Bitcoin was hovering around 16K, $16,000 then, because of the lack of access to cash and the economy was shrinking. And now the interest rate is at 4.7 to 5%, which is higher than that of last year. But the difference there is that there's $2 trillion of liquidity that has been provided to the banks, and there's no other place these banks, there's no other place they can invest this money aside, the tech companies. So if you look at the top 10 owners of MicroStrategy is a corporate company that owns a whole lot of Bitcoin. I think they are the number one corporate body that owns the most Bitcoin. So if you look at the top 10 owners of MicroStrategy share, you will see that three bank names will pop up in the top 10 shareholders of MicroStrategy. The first one is Bank of America, the second one is Morgan Stanley, and the third one is Fidelity Management. Meanwhile, Bank of America and Fidelity just increased their holding of MicroStrategy share last week. And when I say they increased their holding, I think for Fidelity it was more than 28% increase in their holding of the MicroStrategy share. So what this means is that banks are buying up shares of the biggest the biggest corporate holding of Bitcoin, the biggest corporate body that's holding Bitcoin, even though they are like kind of like giving um bad bad words, even though the things they say about Bitcoin is bad, but they do invest into company. And this is not bad because this is just them trying to be safe, they are trying to be safe and not expose themselves to Bitcoin directly. So that made that the provision of liquidity in the market made Bitcoin rise to 30K, and that also made investors have confidence in having a Bitcoin as a store of value. All right, with the loss of trust in the banks and the influx of the 2 trillion. So the second thing I'll be talking about is what caused it to drop to its current price. Bitcoin has done more than 80% this year. Like Bitcoin has done more than 80% this year in the face of bank collapse, and nobody is talking about it, and that really bugs me seriously. you know, uh, if you look at Twitter right now, the coin that is trending and making the rounds is
Okay, so sorry about that,
Pepe.
guys.
I think Pepe said this year.
Hello, can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you
Yeah,
now.
the last thing I heard was if you look at Twitter now, the coin that is trending, that was the last thing that was heard from you. So I feel you should start from there.
Okay. I said, what caused Bitcoin to drop to its current price of 28,400 is because it has done 80% this year, Even though all banks are failing and all of that, we are facing our own problem here in Nigeria too. But with all these things that's happening in the global market, Bitcoin has still done 80%, um, but nobody's talking about it. Like nobody's talking about it, and it really bugs me so much. Like it bugs me seriously because if you look at Twitter right now, the coin you see that's making the rounds is a Pepe meme coin. It's a meme coin. I think the last time I entered Twitter, it was actually trending, but nobody's talking about the the rate at which Bitcoin have increased this year, and that's mind-boggling. So, if you look at economics, you know that what drives the price of Bitcoin is demand and supply. And if you understand this, you know that when people are looking to buy Bitcoin, that is when there is more demand in the market, the price of Bitcoin will rise since people are willing to pay premium price to make Bitcoin part of their portfolio. And when less people are looking to buy Bitcoin, the price will drop since people aren't really aren't looking to pay as much. And it's normal for an asset that did 80% in the space of in less than 4 months to actually correct. It's part of the market, it's part of our market, our trading psychology and all of that. It's part of it. So Bitcoin dropping to 28% now is actually not it's actually not a problem, all right? Because when an average person, a normal person, everyone, even being an investor or a trader, when you're in the market and you've made 80% profit, what is the normal thing to do?
Or to take profit.
Exactly. Exactly. So I believe what made Bitcoin drop to its current price is because people are actually taking profit, you know, people are actually taking profits, which is not like it's it's actually not a bad thing, like I said earlier. It's just that people need to understand this thing, people need to understand it so that you get to know that demand and supply controls the market, the crypto market generally. So that's the reason why Bitcoin has dropped to the price it is right now. And the third thing I'll talk about, you know, is the future of Bitcoin. The future of Bitcoin. The future is Bitcoin is very bright. The future of Bitcoin is very bright. And with everything that's happening right now with the world economy and with United States losing their grip as the world power, you know, there has been recent news of BRICS building new alliances with other countries that are looking to join them. All right. And there's been news recently of the world of China trying to make the world run a multipolar system instead of the US dollar hegemony. What that means is that China is looking for a way to make the world run on two major economy instead of just one country, because currently, the whole world, US dollar for we are all using US dollar for international trade. And the fact that we are using US dollar give United States of America a whole lot of power to um, toy with people in a way where if you don't do according to what they say, or if you don't do according to their will, they can sanction you. They can cut you off the international trade and all of that. So the reason I mentioned the BRICS was because the BRICS only confirm that the dollar isn't safe anymore, you know. But there will there will be no difference, there will be no difference in their policies with the one we have right now in America, because it, there will be some printing press hidden somewhere in a central bank building that can just print any amount of money. It's going to be the same thing with the BRICS too. Uh, so 30K 30K is a massive psychological level for investors. You know, 30K is a psychological level for investors, and it was the highest, it has been since June last year. So hitting that level was a huge statement for investors that are watching. All right. And the move higher, investors seem to have renewed their interest in assets that holds value. Like investors have renewed their interest in assets that holds value, instead of just going into any market. But I still somebody I think somebody needs to explain to me where peppermint coin got the liquidity is used to rise to that to that amount, because it's crazy, so but investors are actually like investors right now are actually confident, you know, they are actually confident in looking for assets that holds value because there's no much cash out there. If you look at Nigeria right now, you are even finding it difficult to lay hands on cash. So it's also the same way around the world. So now investors, and you know that investors don't throw money around. They look for a place where they can get better ROI for their investment. So now they believe that Bitcoin is a safe haven if it can increase when the banks are failing. All right. So Bitcoin is being seen as a reliable store of value, that removes the need of saving your money with a third party, and no one can confiscate your account. No one no one can disrupt your transaction. No one can cancel your transaction. It's a peer-to-peer technological platform that allows a transfer of value between me to you without the need of any middleman. So the longer term narratives of Bitcoin, such as it being a wonderful store asset for store of value, we can't just sweep that under the carpet because Bitcoin is the most scarce asset out there. Bitcoin is the most scarce asset out there and is the most performing asset in the world in 2023. It's the most performing asset in the world in 2023, even more than the stock market, more than the bonds market, more than the equity market. Bitcoin beats each and every one of them. So the future of Bitcoin is actually bright. If you look at El Salvador, the first country to make Bitcoin their legal tender. And since they made Bitcoin their legal tender, their economy have been growing exponentially. But we don't see that in the mainstream news. Like we don't see that in the mainstream news at all. And don't you think that's for a reason? It's for a reason. There's a reason why we don't see the good things that's happening in El Salvador in the news. All right, and it's because it doesn't promote. When you start talking about the good things that's happening in El Salvador, you have to give the credit to Bitcoin. And mainstream news does not want that. Uh, they want to talk about the US dollar as much as they can. If you look at back in 2021 when El Salvador made the move, when they made the move to make Bitcoin their legal tender, the World Bank and the IMF had to come out to say that they had to come out to say that the economy of El Salvador is going to collapse. All right, they said it when El Salvador did that, but unfortunately for them, unfortunately for El Salvador, they've been thriving. Like they've been thriving so much that even the president of El Salvador said that they've seen 97% increase in tourists pouring into the country. they've received foreign investment because now Bitcoiners are actually trooping to El Salvador because to them it's a safe haven. They are trooping to El Salvador to like have that freedom. If you look at the educational system of El Salvador now, it's actually better than what we have in the Western countries because now they have Bitcoin education in their curriculum, and this means that they are actually teaching their children the real value for money and at a very young age. So they are catching them young, and it's a wonderful thing to see with what's happening with El Salvador. So another good thing about what Bitcoin did to El Salvador is that it reduced their crime rate to the bare minimum. And El Salvador before they used Bitcoin as a legal tender, the country was known for having a high crime rate, for having a high crime rate and all of that. But since they used Bitcoin, it has reduced the crime rate in the country, and the gang members in the country have all been arrested. All right, and because they simply have no money to steal anymore. There is no cash for them to steal. All money now in El Salvador, like more than 90% of the money in El Salvador right now is in Bitcoin. So let's say, for example, you don't have any cash on you, and let's say you have like $1 million worth of Bitcoin in your wallet, and you get attacked by an armed robber that wants to steal your money. If you don't give the person an access to your wallet, the person won't be able to steal your money, right? So this has made the crime in the country reduce a whole lot, and all the gang members have been arrested. All right, all these things are the good things that uh, all these things are the good things that Bitcoin can do to a country economy. Another thing, the reason why I'm using El Salvador to buttress this point is because they are the one that's actually doing they are the one that's actually using Bitcoin as legal tender now, and everything that is happening in their economy reflects that decision. So the debt of El Salvador right now is the best performing debt in the world. Like and nobody's talking about that too. Like uh, considering all the predictions of IMF and World Bank, even though they are the even though they are the biggest scam ever, I try to be controversial as much as I can. So even though their prediction didn't work out, the country is doing just fine with the foreign investments they are getting from people that are looking to be financially free. All right. So I feel we should educate ourselves better and not only rely on informations we get from the mainstream. There are a whole lot of people we can learn from. There are a whole lot of people we can listen to. Following legit accounts like what you are doing here, Emmanuel. It's a very wonderful thing. Um, Subscribing to Emmanuel's YouTube channel, looking at all the video he has dropped. All these things are vital informations that you can use in the crypto space. All right, and so I believe the future of Bitcoin is very bright, and for us to really understand what the future holds for Bitcoin, we need to start with proper education. We need to start with proper Bitcoin education for people, especially in Nigeria. I don't know if it's just me, but I know I've been having problem with my Zenith Bank. I've been having problem with my UBA. I've been having problem with my PalmPay, even OPay. They've all had issues one way or the other, and carry out a transaction, it's very, very annoying. All right. So generally, the future of Bitcoin is very bright, and I'm looking forward to hyper Bitcoinization.
Abi. All right. So thank you so much for that. And I want to drop the first question. Right. So the first question is, in your opinion, will the 30K mark lead to a bullish market for Bitcoin? What do you think? What can you say about this? Now that we are able to clock $30,000, although there is a bit of a decline in price currently, can you say that okay, there's going to be a recovery that Bitcoin might likely maybe get to 35K, 40K or thereabouts? Can you fully say that okay, the bull market is back?
Okay, I won't say the bull market is back, but what I will say is that this is the bull market that leads to the main bull market. You know, this is the bull market that leads to the main bull run. Because if you look at bull run doesn't happen in a day. You know, it doesn't happen in a week. You know, if you look at the chart of Bitcoin right from its inception in 2009, you will see that it doesn't just go straight. You know, it goes this way. You know, and that means that for we to get to that bull run, there needs to be some increase in price. You know, there will be some decline in price. There will be an increase and decline in price. So, like I said earlier, 30K is a psychological level for investors. All right. So the 30K is moving to 30K is first of the bull run for the main bull run to come, because definitely Bitcoin halving is next year, and when halving happens, the price of Bitcoin tends to increase, and this is the stepping stone. This is the stepping stone to that Bitcoin halving bull run.
Sorry, I muted myself. Okay, so thank you so much for that. Okay, guys, if you have any question, as we want to call it a wrap, and before we do so, if you have any question, please do well to drop your questions in the comments below. Drop your questions in the comment below as we are closing out, because I think Kester has another you have Twitter Space by 7, right? Okay. So, okay, I want to ask you this question. So about this bricks of a thing, because I feel one of the things that could make people consider investing in risky asset like Bitcoin, gold, silver, and the rest is sometimes when maybe the particular currency that they were considering as maybe being safe or stable, like the US dollars, is maybe dropping, because I feel this bricks of the thing is going to cause the US dollars to drop. So what can you say would be the impact of this in cryptocurrencies? Sorry, you mute.
Okay, yeah, as a Bitcoiner, the news of the BRICS is just a confirmation. It's just a confirmation for me that the dollar is actually losing its power. All right. Most of these all the countries that are looking to join the BRICS stand for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And there are more countries looking to join. Saudi Arabia is looking to join. Iran is looking to join. And I read an interview of Nigerian ambassador to Russia, where the ambassador said that Nigeria is also open to joining the BRICS. And what is the initiative of these BRICS? Their plan is to stop the hegemony of US dollars, because the US, the United States of America, have been using that against countries that doesn't do according to their will. So what they plan to do is to hold transaction between themselves in their local currency. So let's say, for example, China wants to buy oil from Russia. Instead of paying in US dollars, they pay them in um, um, Russian rubles. They like China will buy oil from Russia in Russia's currency. All right, and if if Russia also wants to buy from China. No, sorry, I'm mistaking that. If China wants to buy from Russia, China will pay yuan. China is going to pay yuan. And if Russia wants to buy from China, Russia will pay rubles. All right. So what this means is that if I'm paying you my own currency and you are paying me your currency, it will make us hold each other's currency, you know, instead of holding on to the US dollar. And when we hold on to each other's currency, we are actually improving each other's currency instead of giving the improvement to just one currency. All right, so it's actually a good news for me as a Bitcoiner, that just to confirm the gradual demise of the US dollar. But generally, with the goal of Bitcoin, uh, it's still not different from the United States of America, because it's still the fiat. It's going to run on the fiat currency. There'll still be there'll still be control. What? Let's say, for example, Nigeria gets to join the BRICS. What if Russia does not have anything to buy from Nigeria? And we are the one buying from them steady. What if you understand? So it's still almost the same thing, but it's a little bit better than that of the United States of America, but it's not different. So they can actually use Bitcoin as international trade, because that's what Bitcoin is created for. If I'm in my village, the thickest forest of my village, as far as there's internet connection in there, I and someone in any other place in the world, let me use Australia for an example, I'll be able to transact with someone in Australia because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin knows no barrier. There is, like, you don't need to ask for any permission before you use Bitcoin. And if we use Bitcoin to transact now, I'll get the value of my Bitcoin in less than 1 minute. You know, instead of waiting for 5 working days to clear your transaction and all of that. So the BRICS is no good news to me as a Bitcoiner, aside from the fact that it confirms the gradual demise of US dollars.
Okay, all right. So, thank you so much for your time and the value you've shared with us so far. We
Yeah, it's
really
my
do.
pleasure.
So for the now, that is the available questions. And so, guys, yeah, depending on when you are going to see this video, if you have any question, do not hesitate to drop it in the comments below, and we are going to do justice to your questions. So thank you so much, Kester, for your time, and
Yeah, thank you.
thank you for the lecture.
Yeah.
All right, so do have a nice day, sir.
And
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us in today's live stream. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please, I want you to hit on the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Then do well to join us next week, as we are going to be bringing your way another episode of our weekly YouTube live series. Right. So do well to share this with your friends so they would know what is likely is going to be Bitcoin's next move. And do well to join us next week and other subsequent Thursdays, same time, same channel. Goodbye, and thank you for watching.